we will get on now to our team selections. Doyle, we'll pick that sort of area of the pitch a little bit later on. We know that Quivin Kelleher is going to be in goal, but what's going to be your back four, do you think, for this one?
Well, I know three of them. Left back will be Tsimikas. Centre backs will be Phillips and Gomez, I reckon. Right back's tricky because you probably don't want to play. I mean, it wouldn't be tricky if James Milner hadn't played against Crystal Palace, which he wasn't meant to, right? But I think they're going to need a defensive midfielder in midfield, and I don't think they're going to play Henderson, and then they won't play. They won't play Fabinho either. I don't think they play, and obviously Thiago's injured. We know Trent's not going to be there, so it's an interesting one. It's whether or not Jurgen Klopp wants to go attacking. Because if he wants to go attacking, Conor Bradley will play right back, right? And I think it's going to take, or he could play Milner. But I think I'm going to go with Conor Bradley. There you go. I'm just ummed out over it out loud, basically. So I think Conor Bradley will play right back, but it could be Milner.
I think it might be Joe Gomez. I think it might be Konate and Phillips at centre back, Gomez one side and Tsimikas on the other. But Theo, who are you going to go for?
I'm throwing a bit of a curveball in here. The fact that he's looking at the games as he is, with Andy Robertson coming out against Palace, you could argue maybe Robertson's coming back in, or maybe Joel Matip's coming back in. That's the thing, that he's done it in the cup games before, hasn't he? He'll play one of these senior players in each position. I think we saw it against Chelsea, was it, in the FA Cup a couple of years ago? Robertson was in that one. I think Mane might have been in that one as well. Jurgen Klopp does like to have a senior player in these positions to have a little bit of stability. And you think, well, those are the two that dropped out against Palace. Maybe there are openings for them there. For right back, I think if Thiago wasn't injured, it would be Milner at right back, but you do need him in midfield, as Doyley's just said. So I'd go along with Conor Bradley. You need to give Nat Phillips that first game, and then it's just Diogo, Gomez or Matip, and then it's what are you doing with your left backs? It could be Robertson, just to have that bit more of experience in there, but Tsimikas wouldn't do a bad job, would he? We've seen how well he's been doing this season so far.
Yeah, plenty of options, Dan. Which four are you going to go for?
Which one then, Theo? Which one?
And then choose it at the end of
it. Well, I to be honest, my knowledge of youth players isn't quite what it was. So I've actually been swatting up a little bit with Doyley's team selector piece that was published earlier this morning, just to kind of see who might be in the mix. And I was half tempted to possibly throw Owen Beck in at left back, Ian Rush's nephew. But bearing in mind what we've been saying about Klopp does like to have at least one kind of older head in each position, I think probably he will give. I can see him putting Robertson in from the start, just to get. Wouldn't expect him to necessarily play 90 minutes. Bearing in mind Liverpool got a testing match at Brentford on Saturday, but Robbo at left back, Conor Bradley at right back, and Gomez and Phillips in the middle for me.
Well, we saw it in the League Cup last year, didn't we? Like Van Dijk doing 45 minutes, Fabinho doing 45 minutes. That could be something he'll do.
They didn't quite have enough players. They also Owen Beck played for the under-23s yesterday, so there's no chance he'll be playing. So I think Conor Bradley and Craig Gordon weren't involved, and Tyler Morton got subbed at half time. So they're the three you would expect to make.
Indicative.
Yeah, at the very least, they'll be on the bench, won't they? But who are you going to put into your midfield, Doyle? I'm going to change formation, actually, for me. I'm going to go with a two of Keita and Milner. But who are you going to go for?
But it's funny you should mention that, because in the piece I actually said they may want to change the formation for that very reason. Because they got quite a lot of attacking players, so they may just have two sitting a little bit deeper, and you wouldn't really need the defensive midfielder then, would you? So it's a tough one. He didn't have a right back, Conor Bradley. The thing is, I'm trying to get in my team. I know all the players that need to get in it. I don't really want to play Milner, basically. But if you're going to do that, then I will play the 4-2-3-1, and I would play Curtis Jones and Naby Keita as the two.
Theo, three in midfield or two?
I'm sticking with three. Milner, the holding one. Not playing Naby Keita because of Thiago's injury. So I want to save Naby Keita for the weekend. So it would be Oxlade-Chamberlain on one side, Curtis Jones on the other.
Yeah, I've changed my mind. I'd like to. I've forgotten about Thiago's injury. Yeah, I think Milner's going to have to play, I'm afraid. Sorry, James. So yeah, go back to the three, and it'll be Milner, Jones, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure James won't mind. Dan, are you picking him as well?
That's the three I've got on my pad as well.
He's got a pad as well. He's written it down.
Yeah. do my own work here. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Milner was fantastic on Saturday, and we do need to cryogenically freeze him almost, because I think he's going to have a really important role to play for Liverpool, and you wouldn't ideally really like him to play 2 games in 96 hours, but I don't really think there's an awful lot of alternative here. So hopefully get the game won nice and early, and then get him off and put him in cotton wool.
Oh, he's captain as well, isn't he? So gives him some experience in a young team.
Yeah, absolutely. I would expect him to play. Doing in my front four is going to be Oxlade-Chamberlain, Origi, Minamino, and Curtis Jones. So no Cade Gordon for me. He's going to have to come off the bench. Who are you going to go for in your? In fact, you've changed to a 3 now, haven't you? But who's
I've gone to a 3? Yeah. You're so harsh. I would have Origi down the middle. Minamino's got to play because he just hasn't played all season. He's been on the bench 5 times out of 6. Just written a piece on him. I hadn't realised that. On the right, going to go Gordon. But also that fits in with having Conor Bradley as right back, because he'll have played with him quite a few times already this season with the under-23s. And if you've got Milner kind of sitting there, and you possibly may want Curtis Jones up. No, he actually is more left side, isn't he? So you'd have Oxmore on the right in that midfield 3. But I do think this is maybe one of those games where they need to build up certain relationships, which is why Phillips and Gomez have played together. And if you've got Conor Bradley and Gordon, they play together as well. That's another one. And you'd imagine that Minamino and Origi have done a fair bit in training, and the midfielders have all played together on numerous occasions. Maybe, possibly not as a 3, but certainly in twos and that stuff like that. So that'll be my team.
Theo, who are you going to go with?
Minamino on the left, Origi down the middle. I'm going Mane on the right, because, like the logic with Robertson there, Klopp does like to play the odd senior player in these sorts of cup ties, and he was the one who was on the bench against Milan. So you think Salah's going to get the night off. Jota's not been at his best. He could probably do with a goal, but then he might need a nice little rest as well. So Mane scored in the last couple. Let's see, give him a start. He can be the experienced head in this one.
Yeah, certainly no Jota or Salah in my squad. They can have the night off. But Dan, who are you going to go with?
No, I agree. I would give Jota and Mane and Salah the night off, and I'm going Origi up front, Minamino on the left, and the effervescent Kai Gordon, who I think a lot of us are really looking forward to. See little glimpses of him in pre-season for the under-23s and 18s, and I'm really excited to see what he can do for the first team on the big stage. And Klopp likes to give young kids a chance. You were saying just before, throughout his reign. Doyle was making the point 5-10 minutes ago that's been a recurring theme, and the prime example of that is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who has become an absolute fundamental part of Liverpool's team, and so I expect to see Gordon given his head, and let's see if he can justify the hype.
Yeah, certainly wouldn't be the first time he's played at senior level either. Made his debut for Derby, of course, last season under Wayne Rooney. So certainly something to watch out for there. But just before we finish then, Doyley, we'll do our predictions as usual. Quite a hard one to predict, really, isn't it? Given we don't know who's going to play for either Norwich or for Liverpool. But I'm going to go with a 2-0 win. I think Liverpool get through.
I think just to really, really annoy me, it'll be 2-2 and it'll go to penalties. And the penalty shootout will go to sudden death. And I can't pick a team who wins. Sorry.
Fair enough. Theo, penalties for you or normal time?
Normal time, 2-1 Liverpool.
Interesting. And Dan, just to finish us off?
3-1 to the Reds.
Yeah, I'm sure Liverpool fans would certainly take that. We'll have all of the reaction, of course, to the game across the Liverpool Echo, Liverpool.com and the Blood Red channel. In addition to that as well, if you haven't already, make sure you head over to www.bloodredpodcast.co.uk to sign up for our Blood Red Club. Theo can go and do that after he's finished playing Flight Simulator. If you're watching along on YouTube, that will make sense. If you're not, it won't, but never mind. For now, from myself, Matt Addison, Ian Doyle, Theo Squires, and Dan Kay. Until next time, it's goodbye.